What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to That Millwall Podcast. My name's Omar. Joining me today, I've got Frankie. Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'll lift the curtain a little bit. This is our second take, but we're normally a one-take wonder around here, but we'll do 2 takes today. Welcome to That Millwall Podcast, guys. Today we'll be previewing Cardiff away and also talk at length about Saturday's game just gone. Source for 3 points against Preston North End. We'll also talk about a few news articles, including what it takes to be a Millwall player, according to Joe Bryan. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and I'm going to run our intro, which I still haven't found. All right, welcome to the show. Frankie, a 3-1 win at the Den on Saturday. Goals from George Honeyman, Romain Esse, Makou, Langstaff. If you remember rightly, I predicted the exact scoreline and the 3 goal scorers. I've mentioned it on the space that I was done with Joe yesterday. I popped on that yesterday, mentioned the same thing. 3-1 win, mate, at the Den. What's your thoughts, mate?
I mean, for a start, did you put money on it?
No, I didn't, but there was video proof of me saying it, so I mean, I don't need to claim it or anything. But yeah, I think it was probably like a couple hundred to 1, mate. It's scary. I wish I did.
Yeah. No, it's funny how 3 points can make the weekend feel much better, doesn't it? It was a result that's been coming. It's a result we deserved, and it was almost a bit of when we went through the stats of Friday, didn't we? You know, you're looking at it thinking we should win this, and there's almost like a degree of nervousness that comes with that because. You know, it's Millwall. We never do anything easy, do we? And we still didn't. We still made it as hard. Good 3 points. Enjoyed the game. Thought we played well. I was surprised how poor Preston actually were. To be completely honest. But no, it was good. I actually thought, interestingly, probably the second half was probably the worst I've seen us play this season. And we still won. So ain't that nice? Good game.
I think in the league anyway, it's probably the worst. I mean, I think it's back to Lane Orient. That was probably the worst one. But I'm with you, mate. I agree. I think kind of because you got the business done so early, you know, I think even the second half to start, I think they had a chance. Then we went up the other end and scored straight away. And kind of, as you kind of see, I think when there's 3 games in a week, you kind of take the foot off the pedal a little bit and you obviously start to make the subs. Maybe you're looking for the subs to try and implement or try and kind of keep it going, I suppose. But when you're 3-0 up and cruising, and they weren't showing much for it, were they? I mean, we mentioned Preston, obviously, prior. We obviously previewed it on Friday Night Live, but you mentioned, obviously, the Heckenbottom interview, and I feel like I'm banging the drum significantly here because I know it was just a little interview, a little segment we spoke about, but you talk about how poor they were. I do think that showed they were quite underprepared for what we had in store for them on Saturday, and we took them by storm, I think, especially Esse on the right and Honeyman through the middle and Langstaff and Watmore. Just front four in general, mate, I think, for me, is the real standout for me.
Yeah, 100%. We said on Friday, didn't we, that if that's what he thinks we're going to bring, then they are going to get a shock in it. And that definitely played out. I thought what was interesting is that I think the difference between Langstaff and Coburn, I think you are seeing a bit of a slight change in how we play. I felt like Esse and Watmore in particular were a lot narrower than they had been, a lot closer to Langstaff, and it's working. So whether that's a thing that the sub is happening just on the pitch or whether that's something Neil's worked on, we'll assume that Neil's a tactical genius and he's done that stuff week. But they were. I don't know what they were trying to do. They didn't. What's annoying is they didn't look like scoring.
Yeah,
and it was a goal. But as we said, the subs were the reason they scored, really, weren't they? Just the game lost a little bit of fluidity and they capitalised on it.
Yeah, I think obviously Emakhu came on with 20 minutes to go. I spoke about it a bit on the space yesterday, but I just wanted to get your take on it. Obviously, 90th minute, we've just gone and conceded a goal. Poor goal to give away, like you mentioned. And I think I noticed Jens was a bit disappointed. I think all the players were disappointed about that. But obviously, Maku's got his 20-minute cameo to shine in the big week ahead, I suppose. More opportunities might present itself if he managed to score a goal, for example. he done the opposite, didn't he? Really, he dived, and it was a dive, in my opinion. I don't disagree or not, but he dived, then got up and got in the player's face, and I don't know if it was 2 bookable offences or if it was a booking, then a red. I'm not too sure, but what's your take on that, mate? Obviously, Emakhu now being suspended for 3 games.
Well, I mean, just out of curiosity, mate, what did you think of before the red card? How did you think he was doing before the red? So I actually thought he wanted to have an impact. I thought he was playing quite well.
Yeah, I think that because he played him down the right, and he obviously took on a couple of players at times, and I think his best moment was when he got sent off. Ironically,
Yeah, he
pulled down his feet, was about to take him on, knocks it past him. I'm like, and he would have got there, and it's the ground, and then the rest is history, isn't it? And yeah, I mean, I thought his attitude wasn't. I don't think it was like eager beaver Makou that we've seen in previous games, but it was like it's still a bit defiant, I suppose. But it was just petulant from him, wasn't it? I think what he did there, and it's cost us really, because I think Azizi's rumours to be back for the game tomorrow or today if you listen to this at the moment. But you think Emakhu would have got more opportunities in his next 2 games?
Yeah, I think he's massively let himself down, and I think what's a real shame is, and I might be way off it. It's just my opinion. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see him again now. When you think he'll be suspended for the next 3 games, he'll then come back, and by that point, Aziz will be fit. So assuming there's not like a massive injury outbreak, then not long after that, you're going to have Colvin back and that sort of thing. I'm not sure we'll see him again. He'll probably go out on loan in January, and if we see him again, it'll be next season. You think what a stupid thing to do in such a comfortable position. You could tell Neil was winning. He didn't even look at him when he went off.
No, he didn't. We spoke about it as well yesterday, I think, and it was so clear to see like Neil. I think Neil had it. Neil obviously had his agenda in a sense, or kind of impression already of what he thought of Emakhu. Emakhu got 20 minutes to impress, and then shot himself in the foot. And I think you're right to mention. Obviously, I mean, it's a bit. I felt at first it's a bit extreme to say maybe it's the last we've seen of him for a little while, but if you think of it this way, we've got the joys of watching England again before he next comes back, and there's another international break in that. Then, by what I'm saying there, and then if it is a 3-game ban, I suspect it's a 3-game ban. Then it will be the 23rd of October at home to Plymouth. No, sorry, the 19th of... No, I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. 23rd of October at home to Plymouth when he can come back. So by then, you might have Aziz back. You might have Coburn. I mean, I don't know how long his layoff was for. Was it 4 weeks, Coburn?
Six, I think. But May's back on grass now as well, isn't he? So he'll be back soon.
So
but it definitely was a 3-match ban.
Yeah, so then now you're looking at in the case of, well, are you going to get back in the squad, let alone back on the bench, right? So, yeah, exactly. He got himself to play there, hasn't he, mate? And that's the fact of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a shame because I think there's definitely something there, but it just feels like one of them players of, and we're going to talk about Millwall players later and what it takes to be a Millwall player in a Neil Harris team. Mm-hmm. Does he have it? And getting sent off in that sort of manner ain't what we're about as a club. Diving ain't what really, other than Savile, who does like a dive. But he's the only one to get away with it seems.
And in slow motion, but there is contact when he does it. It's just he
stays. Oh yeah, he buys him, doesn't he? Yeah. Whereas this is him just like swan dive on the floor. I don't know what he was thinking. Don't know what he was trying to do. And the one I felt gutted for really was Dan Kelly, because I reckon Dan Kelly would have got on, and then we obviously conceded a goal, a red card not long after, and it's suddenly we're going 5 at the back. You think that's 5 minutes you're taking off that kid because you've done something silly, but at least we won, I guess. It's nice to have this conversation with 3 points, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to throw too much on the negative, but obviously it's just disappointing because I think a lot of people want Makou to do well. But yeah, overall, a great performance. Do you want to talk about the star boy? I mean, at this point, is there anything else you want to say about Esse? I think the goal was superb. Anything to add? Like Esse just takes it around the keeper, does what he does. A lot of flicks, a lot of 1-2s, a lot of driving with it. He takes it. He's kind of got this knack of when the ball's coming to him, he knocks it forward. He's kind of like a step ahead of the players in the sense. And I thought Fleming was a bit like that at times. You see it in certain players that are almost Premier League bound, if that makes sense, Frankie, where it's like they're a step ahead of the game. And he strikes me as that at the moment, I say, and just I don't know what else to say really anymore.
There was a little bit on the in the first half where the ball comes to him sort of on the touchline. He sort of flicked it behind himself through the defender's legs and went around him. The defender brought him down. It's definitely a foul.
No.
But it just absolutely embarrassed him. It's like, that is like disgustingly talented. And the way he's playing at the minute, you almost feel like just give him the ball and he'll keep you in a game. He'll give you a chance. He is, yeah. Hopefully this is the level he's at rather than good form sort of thing. Because yeah, at the minute he's just incredible, mate, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't want to talk too much more about the game because if you've not listened to it yet, there is a space recording that's out the day before this. But I also want to just get your thoughts on George Honeyman, who obviously got his first goal of the season, much needed. And yeah, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it's a solid performance from George, isn't it? It's everything you expect from him. I think the way we play is so dependent on him at the minute, Langstaff and what more, and the way they press and close people down and getting the goal. You can't help but be delighted for him because it seems like such a top bloke, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Everyone in the club seems to love him. So for him to get the goal that he's deserved, to be fair to him, because he's getting himself in good positions. Hopefully, gets a couple more. What about yourself, mate?
For sure. Yeah, no, I've spoken about it already, but I love the man, and I know there's people out there on Friday Night Live that gun for me for having my backing him to the hilt and back. But I was pleased for him. He got his goal, got an assist as well, and yeah, one of the best players on the pitch on Saturday for sure. Right, you mentioned a Mill player and Joe Bryan, with the terminology. I basically tweeted about it this morning. Check us out on Twitter if you want, at That Millwall Pod. Joe Bryan was interviewed by Southwark News, or News at Then, in previous life, talking about obviously the culture at Millwall and finding his feet and obviously being his second season at the club. We'll talk about Joe Bryan in a second, Frankie, because I think obviously it's worth talking about as well, his performances of late. But in the interview, he says, we'll fight for a common goal, and I think that's drilled into you from a young age in football. He goes on to talk about your upbringing and everything you get puts to the side. You become a Mill player when you cross the white line on the training pitch or at the Den. Fair enough, right? Yeah. And then he goes on to say, I think there's definitely aspects of being a Mill player that I didn't understand the first season that I was here. It takes a while to learn that you have to put your body on the line. You have to run until you can't run anymore. You have to buy into that culture. I mean, some of that stuff you think is bog standard, but I suppose we take for granted at Millwall. But he goes on to say, I think it's he's talking about obviously being consistent and the atmosphere in the dressing room, but he's like, some of the terminology he uses in there, like working hard, you cross the line, you're on the pitch, you're a Mill player. I take it for granted. I think that's normal. But yeah, I mean, I guess what's your thoughts on hearing him say that, and obviously his performances of late as well?
It makes a lot of sense now when you see some of his performances last year.
Mm.
That weren't obviously a given. As you said, mate, some of it surprises me because you just think surely that's, as anyone that's been in the game for a long time, surely these are just non-negotiables, right? And if you've played against Millwall, surely there's certain things that you've been to the Den, you've seen what our crowds are like, you've seen what gets us off our feet, and you then know what you're signing for. And these conversations would have been had early when he was recruited to the club. Obviously, they weren't, or maybe they just never quite really sort of understand what that actually means in reality, rather than just saying the words. But he definitely seems to be getting it. There's some players that have never got it. I mean, we can all probably think of players in their head where you think they never really understood what the fans meant, what it meant to be a Millwall player and what we valued. But yeah, it was one of his better performances in Millwall shirt, I thought, Saturday. So it makes sense now that maybe it's all starting to click for me a little bit more. It's probably a lot of that's confidence as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. You think when you sign a player, and I think this is something that always gets overlooked. I think especially when Edwards came in and he's trying to reinvent the wheel and go for something different. I'm very much pro Neil Harris. I always make that very clear to people. I love Neil Harris as a man.
Yeah.
Purely, like, I think a lot of people do love him, and I'm not saying no one ever goes against me, but it's more so like his management style. Can he evolve, and is he a bit of a dinosaur in the modern day? But for me, when you hear Joe Bryan talk about that, that is purely Neil Harris's impact for me. Like that's Neil Harris being at the club. Like, I listened to Wall Talk the other day. I don't know if you've heard it yet. Sean Williams' interview. He talks about when he signed for Millwall. I think it was obviously Ian Holloway as a manager at the time, but Neil was still involved in the setup after him being in the interim. You know, we had lost to Southend in the cup and stuff like that. It was like just when Willow signed as well. William says Neil Harris introduced himself to me on a match day. I was in the change room getting changed, and I was on the bench. I was going to come in the second half. He goes, "Hi, I'm Neil. Good luck today, mate." And he goes, "First thing you should do, smash someone in half, fold him in half." He went, "They'll love you here." And like, it honestly, like, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But like, I was like, brilliant. Like, and that is like, Millwall fans get that. A lot of other clubs probably won't understand that. If you're like an Arsenal supporter or something, you'd be like, you know, like, but that's different because the breeding ground of Arsenal is good football, and whereas for Millwall, it's working class, hard working, passion.
No, exactly.
You can't run anymore. Like, that's a given. You think you're a professional footballer, it's your job, but these things aren't always drilled into these people, are they? I suppose, Frank, is what I'm getting at.
No, I remember a story. I think I want to say it. Was it David Worrell, the right winger we had back in the year we got promoted? We played Sheffield United early in the season. They were terrible at the time, and it was like 1-0 at half time, and everyone got booed off because the performance was just really flat and lethargic. And they'll come off, and apparently, sort of, I don't know if it's true or not. And Mark got the names wrong, but I want to say it was Worrell's. But like, what are they booing for? I don't really get it. And Morrison was just like, well, if you don't like it, you're the wrong club, mate. This is what it's all about. And he weren't really saying much after that. And you think, oh, so I said something. Some people never get it, and that's fine. And there's probably loads of players that will never join Millwall because they'll never be Millwall type players. But I don't really want them. If they're not getting bored, I'll get it. If they're not getting bored, then see you later. Not really that fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think when I say Millwall type player, I always get labelled a dinosaur as well. Like, oh, what do you want? When I say Millwall type player, I'm not talking about almost their technical ability. I'm just talking about the bare necessities that you need to then up with the quality on the ball. And you can have, like, Joe Bryan's been superb. We said on Saturday, he was up and down that pitch, putting tackles in, giving it his all. He's probably not the same level when I say that to like someone like Kevin Muscat, who gave it his all. There's very different elements to that, but they're both liked for different reasons because at least you can see that capacity. You look at a footballer, we're fans, we're a very judgmental bunch, but you know when you look at a footballer, like he's giving his all, and that's all you want. Like, and he got labelled Coffee Shop Joe. He is still Coffee Shop Joe. We love him. We love you, Joe, now in a minute.
We'll never shift that now. That is him. Yeah.
He's Coffee Shop Joe. He even went on in this interview to talk about how he got fined. So they obviously talk about the atmosphere at the training ground, and they talk about a fine system they've got. The last time I got fined, I left a mug out at lunch. It was a £25-50 fine. It's quite funny. Everyone just stays quiet until you do it. But also talk about mug. He obviously brought a cup of coffee. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Quite a little customer, yeah.
That's it. But I think when I talk about the atmosphere, obviously amongst the change room, it is only 2 wins this season. But you know, if things are looking a little bit on the up, mate, aren't they? And I guess it leads us into Tuesday's game and the importance of it to kind of sustain that form and keep going now, really.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everyone said, and this isn't new ground, that we're playing well, but we do need to start that sort of transitioning these dominant performance into consistent 3 points and putting another win on the board. I think goes a long way to putting us a little bit closer to where we probably deserve to be from the fruits of our effort so far, I guess. And then you've got a tough game against West Brom, obviously, after that. And if you're sitting there thinking, if you can go away and nick 3 points there as well, because we seem to do well against West Brom, you're going into international break in a really, really strong position. So yeah, it feels like it's not must win. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But it's one of them games you're sitting there thinking, win this, and you're hitting good form in your momentum's on your side.
Yeah, I can't remember what we called your segment on Friday Night Live. Or was it frankly, to be frank? Or there was loads of different shouts out there. If you've not listened or watched the Friday Night Live, you need to get involved on 8 o'clock on a Friday because Frankie was getting some good comments, shall we say, from the fans. So for people watching the show. But no, mate, give me some stat bombs. Give me something about Cardiff that people will be interested to know. I know you've done a little bit of prep for this. I mean, a bit less prep maybe than on a Friday. So if you want to see it at its best, be sure to check out on a Friday. But give us something about Cardiff, mate, and how they get on at the minute.
To be kind, not very good. They've started pretty poor. They've got 1 point this season, which they've got against Swansea. Every other game has been a loss, and they've got minus 15 goal difference.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that, by the way. 2 goals scored and 17 conceded. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's tragic, isn't it? This is their second manager season, so it was sacked. I'm going to butcher your name, was Errol Bullott?
Bullott, yeah.
But this will be their first sort of home game since he's been sacked. So I am expecting a bit of a response because they need to do something, don't they? Fans need to see something. But they have got a few injury issues themselves. So just looking at some of the squad, I think the 2 defenders went off in their last game injured, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players out. So a bit of a sort of chuck together squad themselves, a bit like us really. But no, they've started really, really poor. I think we have got to be aware. I sort of watched some of their clips, and they have got a bit of pace up top. So Robinson and Willock, in particular, obviously names that anyone who's watched Championship football knows before. They can create things. And they've got El Ghazi, was at Aston Villa.
Just saw that now. Looking at that, surprising to see that actually.
Yeah, I want to say it's about 53. So maybe not as quick as he once was, but technically still a very, very good player. So we can't take it for granted. But you think, turn up, assert yourselves, much like we did against QPR. Put yourselves in in the ascendancy, play like the home team, and you can't help but feel that with them being low on confidence, you could probably have a really good night. But I mean, historically, it's a tricky one. We don't have a good record away at Cardiff. They've only lost one of the last 11, 6 draws in there, and in them 11 games, we haven't scored more than 1 goal in any of them fixtures. So we don't traditionally travel well to Cardiff. But I mean, and this would be the first time in their club's history they've lost their first 4 home league games if they lose tomorrow night. So hopefully we could put them in the record books, I guess. On a more positive note, more recently we've won 2 of our last 3 away games in Wales, which is the same amount as our last 17 combined. So we are slowly getting better. And Neil Harris has never lost to a side that he used to manage, but I think most of them were as Cardiff manager against us. So all that really means is Millwall never beat him. But there's a couple of stats here, I guess, and just give you a bit of flavour for tomorrow. It feels a little bit like Preston, doesn't it? Where you're thinking this sounds quite good, so we're probably going to lose.
Yeah, I think I'm not to big you up too much, but you've kind of nailed it last couple of games with your assessments. Like you've kind of gauged the vibe with the stats and kind of gone right. Statistically, you went. Normally we draw at QPR. Normally we should beat Preston. We beat Preston. So what are you having for this then? What's your vibe? What's your gut? Like not necessarily score prediction just yet, but more what's the general feel you got with reading them stats?
Ask me again in the first 10 minutes. I think you will know in the first 10 minutes we're going to beat them or not.
We're always at sides, by the way. I've actually got a thing for that. Like, well, if I'll go, just turn up, Millwall. When I go to an away game, I'm like, just turn up, and then within the first minutes, I'll know if we've turned up or not, and that will. We're a 10-minute team. You can tell within 10 minutes at an away game if we've turned up or not.
If you're up for it or not, 100%. But I think we will win, and it wouldn't shock me if we win quite well. I want to say 3-1 again.
You're giving me FOMO, mate. I was this morning. I'll chat to you a bit of insight to the podcast chat I was in this morning. I was like, stop me from being a fool. Should I go or not? And I'm like, I really wanted to go. I've not missed a game this season. I think I've missed a couple this calendar year, but I'm not gone. I'm going to be sitting at home watching it on Sky. It's not a normal thing for me, if I'm totally honest, but I guess I get used to the red button occasionally. But yeah, look, mate, I agree with you. You mentioned you've assessed obviously their squad there. I mean, Aaron Ramsey's involved. Is he injured at the minute? I take it.
Out for 2 months. Yeah.
2 months. There you go. Yeah, like you're right. I think you look through that. Obviously, you read what you've got to come, and I'm positive, but there is players in there that they don't strike me as a team. Even it sounds very contradictory to their 7 games so far this season, but they don't strike me when you read them players like O'Dowda, Callum Robinson. I don't think they're players that normally fold over without having some sort of resistance put against them. If that makes sense. Like, it sounds ridiculous saying that when they've conceded the most in the league and scored the least in the league. But I just think they're not going to be pushovers and they'll be desperate to put it right. And we just need to come in with the same authority that we did on Saturday. And if we can do that, the same as you, to be honest, I think we could win it and quite comfortably, hopefully.
100%, mate. You said you wouldn't look at their squad and think, are they going to roll over and just have their sort of bellies tickle? But you would have said the same thing about us and Joe Edwards, and we did week in, week out.
Very true, mate.
Like form and confidence does funny things to players, doesn't it? So, yeah, I mean, what do you reckon? Do you think we'll win?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. I think we'll win 2-0. I think we'll get a clean sheet, and we probably win it comfortably. 2-0 victory, and yeah, it's all positive. What do you think about team news then? I mean, I don't think there's any new injury reports. Obviously, like I said, Aziz is probably back. I think Wintle can't play because he's cup tight. He's I guess he can't play against his parent club, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And then obviously aside from that, I imagine it'd be much the same. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I sort of had a little tally up earlier. I think we've got 8 players unavailable. So Scanlon, Mitchell, Winterwalker's alone, Makou suspended, Aziz, obviously touch and go, Mayer, Coburn, Bradshaw. So I think we'll see Massey go onto the bench, and then one of the other kids will make an appearance. God knows who. Assuming Aziz can't play. But no, in terms of the 11, unchanged again. Why change it, right?
Yeah, don't change something. It's not broken. All that kind of old cliches. It's just you've got a big week, though, haven't you? And like you got West Saturday. Can Saville? I mean, they have to because we've not got much else options. You've got Kelly, like you mentioned earlier on, the back not getting minutes. But are you going to throw Dan Kelly into a game like Cardiff away? Probably not. You look further through the team. Cooper, I know he's always consistent, always there, but he had that injury. Is fatigue going to start to set in? These things you do start to think and worry about. And obviously, the elephant in the room, the fact that the striker situation, Langstaff, God forbid, I don't want to wish anything to our players, but you know, you don't want anything happening here to these players, mate, because the team picks itself right now, which is brilliant. But the only thing that can kind of disrupt that is our notorious injury form, I suppose.
I don't really worry about Saville because despite being like he's 30, 31 now.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of like freak athletes where like you get players back in the day used to smoke like 40 a day and still just unbelievable athletes. He's definitely someone that's like one of them people. I'm not saying he smokes, by the way. But yeah, he's definitely a bit of a freak athlete. It's Leonard that does me, mate. And you think,
yeah,
if he
exactly,
seems bang in trouble. So I wouldn't mind seeing McNamara come in actually.
Yeah, like I said, what's the point of changing a team that's not broken?
Yeah,
this is it. It's the old age kind of scenario. But yeah, I suppose Neil will go with an unchanged team. I don't see why he wouldn't, but it's just obviously that whole kind of conundrum behind it. And the international break isn't far away, I suppose. It's got West Brom, then it's international break, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, 2 more games and then we're was a week off, then, isn't it?
Ridiculous amount of international breaks though, right? The only part of the season. I hate it.
Boring. I hate them.
I bloody hate it, honestly. Right, you went 3-1. I said 2-0. Yeah, I think 2-0. I want to say Cooper gets a goal tomorrow. I think Cooper gets one and Langstaff gets another. Who's your goal scorer, mate?
I reckon Langstaff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Saville. Just because I feel like I owe a personal apology. And let's go Jeff. He scored one. He scored one this season. He hasn't, has he?
No, not yet. So
he has a goal as well. Yeah.
Do you know what I saw? I was actually funny enough looking for his. I think it must have been his Instagram the other night. So I was looking through it as you do, just sitting there scrolling through footballers' Instagram. We've all that, right? But his goal against Southampton was his first career goal. And that struck me as a bit of a surprise because obviously he went on to score, didn't he, against Birmingham at home? And he strikes me as a threat in the box. We haven't, if I'm not mistaken, we haven't scored from a corner yet this season. Anything?
No, we haven't. And I think I saw a stat earlier. We've either had like 54 or 44. And you think we have not scored one? You think that's horrific for us, isn't it?
And you look at Joe Bryan stepping up to take a dead ball, like. You'd back him to whip it to a good position. I think on Saturday there was a couple of good deliveries. It looked a bit better actually at times, but we always do that kind of stood up ball to the back post to Cooper, don't we? And
the thing that annoys me most. I think we have back throughout the course of the game. Saville will take one, Bryan will take one, Honeyman will take one. Someone random like Watmore or Denor will have a go. You think. It doesn't strike you with confidence when every single corner has got a different taker, does it? That there's a proper plan in place. But I'm sure we'll get one tomorrow now.
I hope so. I hope that's what I put Cooper. As I say, Cooper's going to score. I can feel it. Right. Do you have any last closing words, Frankie, mate, for us before we start to wrap up the show?
No. Turn up Millwall, give it a proper performance. Do what you need to do, dominate, and dare I say, tomorrow has got the potential to actually be another comfortable game, and then you can rest people again. Looking on Twitter, their fans seem to be happy. The general consensus amongst their fans is they'll take a point right now. So, I mean, I think that tells you a lot, doesn't it, about where they are. But yeah, just build on last week, the week before.
We've been here before with Millwall, haven't we? We've kind of like built up to be a confident performance and get the win. And football, it's glory. It's just
hope it kills you in it, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
What about yourself, mate?
Yeah, no, that's it. All from me. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you're listening on audio, leave us a review. It does do us wonders. So yeah, that's me. That's Frankie. And we'll be back again probably on Friday for Friday Night Live. Thank you, guys.